Tonight, let us drift together into a world where every creature carries a secret record, a silent achievement shaped by time, chance, and nature's endless imagination. As you close your eyes, imagine the still surface of an ocean under a sleepy moon, the quiet breath of forests, and the slow pulse of the earth itself. In this calm space, we will meet the champions of the living world, animals that stretch the boundaries of what seems possible. The fastest, the tallest, the smallest, the oldest, and the most mysterious. Each one a reminder that life never stops exploring its own limits. Every record tells a story of evolution's creativity, of survival, and of beauty hidden in the details. The peregrine falcon that dives faster than a race car. The whale whose heartbeat echoes deep beneath the waves. The tiny hummingbird beating its wings hundreds of times each second, floating in midair like a jewel of energy. And far below, in the eternal dark of the ocean trenches, glowing creatures write their own slow poetry with light. As we travel together through this gentle encyclopedia of wonders, imagine the air growing softer, your heartbeat slower, and your thoughts floating like leaves on a quiet stream. This is not a race through information, but a journey through awe, one that reminds us that behind every scientific record is a whisper of mystery. Every fact we learn becomes a star in the sky of curiosity. Each chapter tonight is a constellation of living marvels, connected by evolution, adaptation, and time. So breathe slowly and let curiosity lull you to rest. Our first stop is the realm of speed, where feathers slice the wind and fins flash through the water faster than sight itself. Here begins our voyage through record-breaking life. Before we meet them, let us take a quiet moment to understand what a record truly means in nature. In our world, we often celebrate records as competition, the fastest runner, the strongest climber, the biggest number. But in nature, a record is never about pride. It is about harmony, the perfect match between a creature and its home. The falcon's dive is not a contest, but a design, honed over countless generations for one purpose: to catch its prey before it even knows the danger. The whale's vast heart beats slowly, not to impress, but to endure the depths and distances of an oceanic life. Every extreme in nature is the result of patience, of tiny changes that add up across the ages until perfection quietly appears. Some records are easy to see, like the towering neck of a giraffe reaching for sunlight through the trees. Others are invisible, like the microscopic muscles in a flea, coiled tighter than any spring we could build. There are creatures whose speed, strength, or resilience seem magical, yet every secret they hold is written in the calm language of biology. And if you listen closely, you might notice that each of these stories begins with the same heartbeat, the rhythm of life itself, slow and steady beneath all difference. As we move through these chapters, imagine the vast variety of worlds that share this planet with us. The forests echoing with quiet motion, the deserts where survival itself is an art, The polar oceans, where creatures glow softly in the night like drifting stars. Each adaptation we meet will remind us how endlessly inventive evolution can be. Every species is an answer to a question that Earth once asked: how to fly higher, swim deeper, live longer, or survive the impossible. And tonight, those answers become our lullabies. So, settle deeper into rest. Let the soft weight of knowledge wrap around you like a warm current beneath the stars. In a moment, we will open our eyes to the world of speed, where wind and muscle, feather and fin chase perfection in motion. Welcome, dreamer, to the world of record-breaking animals. Speed in nature is not always about distance or competition. It is about timing, survival, and the elegant balance between energy and purpose. For some animals, every fraction of a second means the difference between life and death. For others, speed is a silent dance, a movement so refined that it feels almost like stillness. High above the cliffs, the peregrine falcon waits. Its heart slows as it locks eyes on a distant pigeon far below. Then, with a single twitch of muscle, it folds its wings and drops toward Earth. Air rushes faster than thunder. Gravity becomes its partner in a dive that can reach over 240 miles per hour. No other creature on Earth moves faster through the air. Its body is shaped by evolution for this perfect fall. Narrow wings, stiff feathers, a small hooked beak that splits the wind without tearing its lungs apart. To see a falcon dive is to watch the precision of physics made alive. And when it strikes, it does not crash or collide, it taps, stunning its prey mid-flight, a whisper of contact that ends in silence. Underwater, the story of speed begins with a flash of silver. The sailfish, its body a living blade, cuts through the ocean with breathtaking grace. Reaching speeds of nearly 70 miles per hour, it is the ocean's swiftest hunter. Its long bill reduces drag, its fins fold tight against its body, and when it chases a school of fish, its sail rises like a banner of blue fire. Even faster in bursts is the black marlin, a shimmering ghost that can travel the length of a ship in the time it takes to blink. But speed in water is not measured by race. It is measured by precision, by how well an animal moves through a world 1,000 times heavier than air. In the sea, every movement is a conversation with resistance. To be fast there means to be efficient, to turn struggle into flow. On land, the champions of motion run not just with muscle, but with rhythm. The cheetah is nature's heartbeat of acceleration, able to reach 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds. Every bone in its spine flexes like a spring, its lungs expand wide as wings, and its claws, unlike other cats, stay partly unsheathed to grip the earth like cleats. Yet the cheetah cannot keep this pace for long. In less than half a minute, it must slow, its body burning energy faster than fire. For this reason, every chase must end quickly, in success or surrender. Even here, nature reminds us that perfection often comes with limits. Speed in nature wears many faces. Some are bright and fierce, like the falcon's dive or the cheetah's sprint. Others are almost invisible, unfolding in scales too small for the eye to see. Consider the trap-jaw ant. Its mandibles snap shut faster than any muscle in the animal kingdom, more than 200 kilometers per hour, closing in less than 1/10,000th of a second. It uses this speed not only to capture prey, but sometimes to launch itself away from danger, bouncing backward through the air like a tiny spring-loaded acrobat. And then there is the mantis shrimp, whose punch moves so fast that it boils the water around it, creating a flash of light called a cavitation bubble. In the instant that bubble collapses, the energy release is powerful enough to stun prey or even crack aquarium glass. It is a burst of power hidden inside a creature only a few inches long. In the insect world, speed is often measured not in distance, but in reaction, in how quickly a nervous system can send signals, how fast a wing can beat. The common housefly, for example, perceives time differently than we do. To it, the world moves in slow motion. Each second contains more frames of awareness, giving the fly just enough time to dodge a descending hand or a closing beak. In its own scale of existence, the fly's reflexes are a form of record-breaking grace. Among birds, the fastest level flight belongs not to the falcon, but to the spine-tailed swift, a small bird whose wings never truly rest. It can fly at speeds above 100 miles per hour without diving, its slender body gliding through layers of air with almost no resistance. Some swifts spend nearly their entire lives aloft, eating, sleeping, even mating on the wing. For them, the sky is not a destination, but a home. In the frozen north, the Arctic tern carries another kind of record, not of speed, but of endurance in motion. Each year, it migrates from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back again, traveling more than 44,000 miles, tracing the curve of the planet with effortless precision. It is not the fastest bird, yet its journey makes it the farthest traveler on Earth. Sometimes true speed is the ability to move endlessly, without pause, through seasons and storms. And beneath the waves, the squid family holds a record of a different kind. By jetting water through their mantle cavities, some species of squid can accelerate faster than most fish, even leaping clear of the ocean to glide for meters above the surface. The neon blue of their skin flashes in the night sea like streaks of lightning beneath the stars. Each of these creatures, from the insect's snap to the bird's dive, reminds us that speed is not only about motion. It is about mastery, about learning to move in perfect agreement with the forces of the world. As we leave the world of speed behind, let your breathing slow once again. In the next chapter, we will meet the gentle giants of the living world, creatures whose greatness lies not in motion, but in presence. Beings so vast that they shape the landscapes around them, yet move with a patience that humbles the very idea of haste. In the stillness of the ocean, a vast shadow moves beneath the waves. It is not a ship, nor a mountain, but a living creature, the blue whale, the largest animal ever to exist on Earth. Longer than 3 school buses, heavier than 20 elephants, yet gentle as drifting clouds. Its heartbeat, deep and slow, can be heard from miles away. Only once every 10 seconds does its heart contract, sending rivers of blood through arteries wide enough for a child to crawl inside. When it surfaces, the sound of its breath echoes like a sigh from the sea itself. Despite its immensity, the blue whale feeds on some of the smallest life forms, krill, tiny shrimp-like creatures floating in endless swarms. Each day, the whale may consume 4 tons of them, filtering the ocean through its baleen plates like a colossal comb made of horn. In this balance, the largest feeding on the smallest, we see the quiet poetry of nature's design. On land, giants wear different forms. The African elephant, with ears like sails and tusks of ivory, moves through the savanna in calm majesty. Its trunk, a miracle of engineering with over 40,000 muscles, can uproot a tree or lift a single berry. It is both strength and gentleness made flesh. Elephants remember paths across decades, mourn their dead, and recognize their own reflections, minds vast enough to hold memories of generations. They walk softly across the earth, yet their footprints shape the ecosystem, carving paths that other species follow. Among the trees of the African plains stands another record breaker, the giraffe. With legs taller than most people and a neck stretching 6 meters toward the sun, it is the tallest creature on land. Every breath it takes must climb from heart to brain through arteries longer than a man is tall. To survive, its heart must be enormous, pumping blood with twice the pressure of ours. Yet, the giraffe's movements are unhurried, each step a slow rhythm of grace. At night, when the savanna cools, giraffes rest standing, their eyes half closed, dreaming under constellations that have watched their kind for millions of years. In the forests of Southeast Asia lives another giant, the saltwater crocodile, the largest reptile alive today. It can grow longer than 7 meters and weigh more than a ton. Its jaws close with the force of a small truck, yet it spends most of its time motionless, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Like the ancient dinosaurs from which it descends, the crocodile carries the wisdom of survival in stillness. Some of these massive reptiles live more than a century, silent observers of changing tides and generations of creatures passing through their waters. In the insect world, giants are measured differently. The Goliath beetle, heavy as a small bird, clings to the bark of tropical trees, its shell gleaming like polished armor. And in the cloud forests of New Guinea, the Queen Alexandra's birdwing unfurls wings wider than a dinner plate, painted with green and gold that shimmer like morning light. Even among insects, beauty and scale find their harmony. But not all giants walk or swim. Some are rooted in place, rising slowly through centuries, growing toward the sky in silence. Consider the giant sequoia, a tree so massive that it holds the record for the largest living organism on land by volume. Its trunk can reach 11 meters across, and its branches begin where many trees end. It has stood through storms, fires, and the passing of civilizations. When you stand beneath one, your breath slows without thinking. You can almost feel the patience of time pressing down like gentle air. Though they do not move, these plant giants are alive with hidden motion. Water climbing hundreds of feet from their roots, cells dividing in rhythm, leaves whispering in the language of light. In the oceans, corals build their own slow giants. The Great Barrier Reef, stretching more than 2,000 kilometers along Australia's coast, is the largest structure ever made by living beings. Each coral polyp is no larger than a grain of rice, yet together they create a monument visible from space. It is a living city, built by countless generations of tiny architects who will never see the whole of what they have made. Among fungi, too, there are giants that stretch across unseen worlds. In the soil of Oregon, a single honey fungus covers more than 2,000 acres, larger than any animal, any tree, and perhaps older than the forest it lives beneath. It exists mostly underground, weaving through roots like a quiet network of memory. If we could see it fully, it would appear like a glowing web across the earth, an ancient intelligence of decay and renewal. Some scientists believe it may be thousands of years old. In the deep sea, beneath layers of lightless water, another giant drifts, the lion's mane jellyfish. Its bell can reach over 2 meters wide, and its trailing tentacles extend more than 30 meters, longer than a blue whale. Each tentacle is a living thread of stinging cells, delicate and dangerous, moving like ribbons in the current. Despite its immense size, it feeds on tiny creatures floating in the dark, glowing softly in hues of gold and rose. It is a ghostly lantern adrift in the endless deep. Giants like these remind us that nature's greatness is not always fierce or loud. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and immense in ways the human mind struggles to grasp. To stand before such beings, whether a whale in the open ocean or a tree that has seen 10,000 moons, is to feel small in the most comforting way. Because in that smallness, we remember that we are part of something vast, ancient, and beautifully alive. As the great ones rest in their oceans, forests, and mountains, another world hums quietly beneath them. A world of miniature marvels, where size shrinks, but strength multiplies. In the next chapter, we will meet the tiny titans, creatures so small they could sit on your fingertip, yet whose power and resilience defy imagination. Let us drift closer into the hidden kingdoms of the small. Sometimes, the most astonishing power in nature comes not from size, but from scale. In the hidden world of the tiny, strength and speed take on meanings that giants could never match. The ant, for example, can carry objects 50 times its own body weight, the human equivalent of lifting a small car. It does this not through magic, but through physics. At small sizes, muscle strength increases faster than body weight, allowing miniature creatures to perform feats of incredible power. Each ant is an engine of determination, its movements a constant rhythm of cooperation and purpose. When thousands of them work together, they become a living system, bridges of bodies, rafts on water, and highways that pulse with order beneath the soil. In the rainforests of South America, leafcutter ants hold another record, the greatest farmers of the insect world. They cut perfect circles of leaves not to eat, but to feed their underground gardens of fungus. These colonies can number millions of individuals, each ant knowing exactly what to do, guided not by sight or sound, but by the invisible chemistry of scent. Every tunnel and chamber is built with precision, temperature control, and airflow, an underground city run by creatures barely longer than a grain of rice. In the microscopic world, life bends the rules of strength even further. The tardigrade, or water bear, is smaller than the tip of a needle, yet nearly indestructible. It can survive freezing, boiling, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. When conditions become too harsh, it curls into a crystal-like form called a ton, shutting down nearly all biological activity. It can stay like this for decades, waiting for a single drop of water to awaken it again. Scientists once sent tardigrades into orbit, and when they returned to Earth, many were still alive, unbothered by the cosmic void. Even the tiniest creature can be a record of resilience. Among birds, the smallest and most tireless is the bee hummingbird of Cuba. It weighs less than a paperclip, and its heart beats more than 1,200 times a minute. Each wing flutters up to 80 times per second, creating the soft hum that gives the bird its name. It visits hundreds of flowers each day, sipping nectar and spreading pollen like a flying heartbeat of the forest. When night falls, it enters a state of torpor, a kind of nightly hibernation to save energy for the dawn. Its entire life is a balance between exhaustion and renewal, an endless loop of motion so delicate that it becomes music. On land, another record holder thrives among the smallest mammals, the Etruscan shrew. Its heart beats nearly 1,500 times a minute, faster than any other warm-blooded animal. To fuel such a pace, it must eat almost constantly, consuming twice its body weight in insects each day. Its world is measured in heartbeats, and every one counts. From ants that farm to shrews that never sleep, the smallest creatures remind us that strength is not measured in size, but in persistence. In their tiny universes, time flows differently, faster, sharper, yet filled with purpose. But the world of the tiny does not end where our eyes stop seeing. Beyond what we can observe with sight lies a universe alive with invisible power. Beneath every drop of water, millions of microscopic creatures swim, feed, and multiply, each one a miracle of engineering too small to notice. Among them are ciliates, single-celled organisms covered in tiny hairs that move in perfect waves, propelling them faster than most animals their size could dream of. If you were to scale a ciliate to human size, it would move faster than a cheetah. There are plankton that glow when disturbed, turning the ocean into a mirror of stars each night. This glow, called bioluminescence, is made possible by microscopic reactions that release light instead of heat, a biological lamp powered by chemistry. When waves roll over these glowing cells, beaches sparkle as though the sea were breathing starlight. Even the smallest beings find ways to shine. In the soil beneath your feet, springtails leap higher than any human athlete, measured by body length. They use a tiny hook-like structure called a furcula that releases like a catapult, sending them soaring many times their height in a blink. Every grain of dirt is a landscape of leaps and journeys invisible to the human eye. And in the air itself, dust mites live among the fibers of beds and fabrics, so light that they float like ghosts on the breath of the wind. They are reminders that life exists at every scale, filling every corner, no matter how small or strange. Even bacteria hold records of endurance. Some species have survived sealed in salt crystals for millions of years, reawakening when touched by water again. Others can digest metal, survive radiation, or live in acid, thriving in environments that would dissolve most forms of life. Each one is a pioneer of survival, shaping the invisible foundation of ecosystems everywhere. And then there are viruses, so small they are not fully alive by our definition, yet capable of transforming entire species, rewriting the code of life itself. Through these microscopic stories, we begin to see that scale is only perspective. To a whale, an ant may be invisible, but to the ant, its own world is vast and complex. Every size carries its own form of greatness. In the silence of the microscopic world, there is no sound of movement, only the pulse of life, endlessly repeating. When you think of the tiniest creatures, imagine them not as small, but as complete universes, each fulfilling its purpose with perfect precision. Now, let your imagination drift deeper still, past the roots of the forest and the waves of the shore, into the blackness of the ocean's deepest places. There, in the crushing cold, live creatures of record-breaking endurance, beings that glow, drift, and dream in a world without light. Our next chapter takes us to the bottom of the world, where darkness becomes a home and pressure becomes peace. Imagine descending beneath the waves, past the sunlight, past the shimmer of fish and coral, down through a blue that deepens to indigo and then to black. The water grows colder, thicker, heavier, pressing against your chest like the slow breathing of a giant world. Here, at depths greater than the tallest mountains, life continues, fragile, glowing, and full of quiet wonder. This is the realm of the deep-sea dwellers, the record holders of darkness. At over 1,000 meters below the surface, sunlight cannot reach. Yet life has found a way to bloom in the shadows. The anglerfish waits here, patient and still. It carries its own lantern, a glowing lure that dangles from a fin like a fishing rod. When a curious prey swims close, drawn by the light, the angler's jaws unfold like a trapdoor, and the sea swallows its secret once again. Some anglerfish females are so large compared to the males that the tiny males fuse to their bodies, becoming part of them, a living pair, forever joined in one body, one life. Few records are as strange as that union, part love, part survival. Deeper still, around hydrothermal vents where water gushes out at temperatures that could melt lead, entire ecosystems thrive in eternal night. These are the black smokers, chimneys of mineral and heat rising from the seafloor. Here, life depends not on sunlight, but on chemistry. Giant tube worms stand meters tall, feeding on bacteria that convert volcanic gases into energy. No mouth, no stomach, only partnership, a perfect balance of biology and geology. It is a world that reminds us that life does not need light to exist, only the will to adapt. Among these vent dwellers are the Pompeii worms, small creatures that can withstand temperatures over 80 degrees Celsius, living between boiling water and icy current. Their backs are covered in symbiotic bacteria that shimmer like silver scales, protecting them from the heat. And in the cold plains far from these vents, ghostly fish drift with transparent skin and hearts you can see beating. One of them, the snailfish, holds the record for the deepest living fish ever found, nearly 8 kilometers beneath the surface. Down there, the pressure is more than 1,000 times that at sea level. Its body has no bones to crush, only soft tissue adapted to the squeeze of the abyss. It floats gently, its movement barely stirring the water, its existence a whisper in the dark. Even deeper, microbes cling to the mud itself, feeding on trace minerals and ancient carbon. They live so slowly that a single cell may divide only once in a century. Time itself moves differently in the deep, patient, unhurried, infinite. Each creature here is a quiet record of endurance. Every glowing light, every soft fin or translucent shell tells the story of survival under impossible pressure. And though no human eyes ever see them in their natural home, they go on living, pulsing with gentle light in the blackest night on Earth. Not all records of the deep belong to creatures of shadow and fear. Some are delicate, almost beautiful, their forms drifting like thoughts in slow motion. Among them floats the giant siphonophore, a colony of many small animals joined into one immense being. Some siphonophores stretch longer than a blue whale, their bodies trailing through the dark like glowing ribbons. Each section of the colony has a task, one to swim, one to feed, one to reproduce, all moving in harmony as if they shared a single dream. It is not a single creature, but a community shaped into one graceful thread of life. Elsewhere, the vampire squid drifts through the midwater, its name a mystery to its nature. It feeds not on blood, but on snow, a gentle rain of organic particles that falls endlessly from above. Its body glows with soft blue light, its webbed arms forming a shadowy umbrella that folds around it like a cloak. In darkness, it hides by making light, erasing its outline in a shimmer of safety. Other creatures in this eternal night have eyes larger than dinner plates, adapted to see faint glimmers from far away. The colossal squid, the largest invertebrate known, can reach lengths of over 12 meters. Its eyes are the largest of any living animal, windows wide enough to see the faintest flash of movement hundreds of meters distant. Its beak, hidden deep within its tentacles, could slice through bone, yet it hunts in almost perfect silence. Even here, where pressure would crush steel, life has found grace. There are deep-sea jellyfish that shimmer like liquid glass. When touched, their bodies bloom with rings of light, as if they were breathing color into the void. There are brittle stars that crawl across the seabed like living constellations, their arms tracing shapes in the silt that no eye will ever see. And there are fish that use red light to communicate, invisible to most eyes, secret conversations glowing in a spectrum of silence. Even in a world without day, light remains a language. Every flicker is a word, every glow a heartbeat. Scientists believe that more than 80% of deep ocean species may still be undiscovered. Each expedition reveals something new: a jelly that spins like a snowflake, a fish with a transparent head, a worm that grows crystals on its body. It reminds us that the unknown is not far away. It lies just beneath the waves, waiting in the dark. And when you think of the deep, imagine not a place of fear, but of peace. There, far from storms and sunlight, life moves in its own slow rhythm, a rhythm older than time, patient and eternal. Let that rhythm fill your thoughts now, the calm pulse of creatures who have never seen the sun, but thrive in the quiet glow of their own light. As you float upward again, rising gently through layers of soft blue, the ocean fades to silver. Our next chapter takes us to another kind of endurance, not of darkness, but of time itself. We will meet creatures that live for centuries, and some that seem to never truly die. The record holders of life's longest journey, the masters of time. Time is the quietest record of all. It moves without sound or shape, and yet it defines every living thing. Some creatures race through their lives in days or weeks. Others endure for centuries, carrying memories of oceans and forests that humans have long forgotten. In the blue shallows of the Pacific lives a creature almost as old as the sea itself, the Greenland shark. Slow, gray, and calm, it glides through icy darkness at the pace of glaciers. Scientists studying its eye tissue discovered something astonishing. These sharks can live for over 400 years, making them the longest-lived vertebrates known. They swim slowly because they must, their metabolism a whisper of motion, their world a frozen dream. Each century is just another drift through the deep. Not far from the icy seas of the north, on land, the tortoises of the Galapagos Islands carry another ancient record. With shells shaped like mountains and eyes full of patience, they can live well beyond 150 years. They have seen empires rise and fall, storms reshape their islands, and yet they move through life as if time were simply a soft breeze on their shells. Every step is deliberate, every bite of cactus or grass a slow, perfect act of living. Their hearts beat with the rhythm of the earth itself, unhurried, unbroken. Among the sea's oldest wanderers is the ocean quahog clam, a modest shellfish that lives buried in the sand of the North Atlantic. One specimen, named Ming by scientists, was found to be more than 500 years old. It had lived quietly beneath the waves since the time of the Renaissance, filtering water and storing the history of changing oceans in the rings of its shell. Each ring a year, each layer a story of climate and survival. There are sponges, too, deep in the Antarctic, that may live for more than 10,000 years. They grow so slowly that their changes can only be measured in centuries, not seasons. They do not rush to grow, for in their world, time is infinite. And then, there is a creature that bends time entirely, the immortal jellyfish, known as Turritopsis dohrnii. When faced with starvation or injury, it does something no other animal can truly do. It reverses its own life cycle. It returns from adult to youth, transforming back into its earlier form and beginning again. In theory, this process can repeat endlessly. Though many perish from predators or chance, their biology holds the secret of eternal renewal, a living echo of immortality. In the forests of North America, ancient trees known as bristlecone pines hold a similar gift. Some have lived for nearly 5,000 years, their twisted trunks shaped by centuries of wind and frost. They do not fight the elements, they bend and endure. Each ring within their wood is a heartbeat of the planet's long memory. When we walk among them, we walk among beings that remember the dawn of civilizations. To live long, nature teaches, is not only to survive, it is to move with patience, to let time become a companion rather than an enemy. In the ocean's quiet depths, there are corals older than human civilization itself. Some colonies of deep-sea black coral have lived for more than 4,000 years, growing just a few millimeters each year. They form delicate forests beneath the waves, forests that never feel the sun, yet stretch across centuries in silence. Each branch holds the memory of changing seas, the rise and fall of temperatures, and the long rhythm of Earth's breath. Even within the humblest creatures, time leaves traces. The bowhead whale, a gentle giant of the Arctic, can live over 200 years. In their flesh, scientists have found fragments of harpoons made by humans more than a century ago. Proof that these whales had already been old when the first explorers came north. They are singers of frozen waters, their voices low and haunting, traveling for miles beneath the ice. Each song is a thread that connects generations across time. In contrast, some species live so briefly that their lives seem like a spark in the dark. The mayfly, for example, lives only one day as an adult. In that brief time, it mates, lays its eggs, and dies. Its entire existence a single breath of summer. Yet for thousands of years, mayflies have danced above rivers, repeating the same shimmering ritual each season. In their fleeting moment, they achieve the same perfection as the long-lived pine or coral. For nature does not measure life by its length, but by its completion. Some animals pause time itself. The wood frog of Alaska can freeze solid during winter. Its heart stops, its blood turns to ice, and its body waits, unmoving. When spring returns, it thaws and hops away as if nothing happened. Each winter is a tiny death, each spring a rebirth. It holds in its veins the secret rhythm of life and sleep, of stillness and awakening. And in the quiet lakes of Iceland lives a creature that may soon surpass them all, the Arctic clam, a modest being that has already lived more than 500 years. Its slow heartbeat continues unseen beneath layers of cold water and sand, unaware of its own record. It lives simply, but it endures. These are the keepers of time, the animals that remind us of patience, resilience, and the beauty of existing slowly. As we drift onward, let the pulse of centuries pass through you. Imagine the stillness of a tortoise resting beneath a tree it has known since youth, the calm of a shark gliding through dark water, the endless circle of the jellyfish's return. Each heartbeat, whether counted in days or millennia, belongs to the same story, the story of life's persistence. And now, from the calm of time, we will move into the extremes of place, the burning deserts, the frozen poles, and the edges of existence itself. There, in the next chapter, we will meet creatures that defy heat and cold, living where no warmth or comfort should ever be found. The survivors of the impossible. Across the planet, from the frozen poles to the blazing deserts, life stretches itself into forms that seem impossible. Each environment writes its own rules, and somehow living things learn to follow them. In the coldest places on Earth, where temperatures drop far below what flesh should bear, certain creatures have found ways to let ice become a friend rather than a foe. In the waters beneath Antarctic ice, there swims a fish whose blood never freezes, the Antarctic icefish. Its body carries no red blood cells, no hemoglobin at all. Instead, it uses proteins that act like antifreeze, keeping its blood flowing even when the sea turns to slush around it. Its pale body glows faintly in the dim light, a ghost of survival beneath the ice. Nearby, the Weddell seal dives through holes in the frozen sea, holding its breath for more than an hour as it hunts beneath the white ceiling of the world. When it surfaces, its whiskers glisten with frost, steam rising from its breath like a whisper to the stars. In these places, heat is a memory, yet life goes on. On land, the emperor penguin holds a record of endurance against cold and wind. Through the Antarctic winter, when darkness lasts for months, males stand together in vast huddles, each protecting an egg balanced carefully on its feet. They share warmth, taking turns at the edge of the circle, while winds howl at more than 100 miles per hour. Inside the huddle, their body heat forms a living shield, raising the temperature by more than 50 degrees compared to the air outside. Each chick that survives is a triumph against nature's fiercest trial. Far to the north, in the tundra, Arctic foxes wear coats of white that reflect the light of snow and hide them from the gaze of predators. Their fur is among the warmest in the animal kingdom, trapping heat so efficiently that even their paws stay warm against the ice. In summer, when the snow melts, their coats shift to brown or gray, blending into the rocky earth, a quiet transformation shaped by season and survival. Where cold reigns, heat becomes a treasure, carefully guarded. But in the deserts, it is the opposite. Heat is everywhere, and the struggle is to stay cool. In the dunes of Africa, the Namib beetle performs a daily ritual that is both simple and brilliant. Each morning, it climbs to the crest of a dune, raises its body toward the sea breeze, and lets tiny drops of fog condense on its shell. The droplets roll down grooves on its back and collect at its mouth. A perfect water harvesting system in a place where rain may not fall for years. Nature, it seems, is always inventing ways to drink the impossible. Another master of the desert is the camel, the ship of sand and time. Its body is a masterpiece of adaptation. Eyelids that close like curtains against sandstorms, wide feet that spread across shifting dunes, and humps that store not water but fat, a slow-burning energy source for endless journeys. When food and water vanish, the camel's body can survive on little more than air and patience. It can drink more than 100 liters in minutes, then go for weeks without another drop. Its temperature rises and falls with the sun, saving energy instead of fighting heat. In this rhythm, the camel becomes one with the desert, as steady as the wind. Life in heat and cold is not a story of resistance, but of harmony. Each creature learns to live with what the world offers, shaping its body and habits until survival becomes an art form. In the deserts of Australia, the thorny devil lizard captures water in a way that seems like magic. Its skin is covered in tiny grooves that channel moisture straight to its mouth. Dew, rain, even drops of mist flow along invisible paths between its scales, turning every breath of humidity into a drink. When it walks, its motion is slow and deliberate, almost meditative, as if the lizard knows that patience is its truest form of strength. High in the Andes Mountains, where the air is thin and the cold eternal, the vicuña, a relative of the llama, grows a coat of wool so fine that it traps warmth more efficiently than any other natural fiber. It moves in graceful silence across the frozen plains, its golden fur catching the first rays of dawn like fire upon snow. In those same mountains, frogs sleep buried beneath ice, awakening when the meltwater returns each spring. They are part of a cycle older than the peaks themselves, a rhythm of freezing and thawing that defines the heartbeat of the highlands. Even volcanoes hold their own ecosystems of extremes. In boiling springs and acid pools, certain snails and microbes thrive where no others can. The scaly foot snail, found around hydrothermal vents in the Indian Ocean, builds its shell from iron, forming armor against the superheated water that surrounds it. Its foot is coated in metal, a natural shield born in a world where stone and fire meet. And among the smallest survivors are thermophilic bacteria, tiny cells that live in conditions hotter than boiling water. They consume sulfur and minerals, drawing energy from the Earth's core rather than from sunlight. In them, we glimpse the ancient origins of life itself, a memory of a planet still forming, still glowing with heat. Cold or hot, light or dark, life persists. There are penguins diving beneath ice, beetles collecting fog, frogs awakening from frost, and snails surviving in fire. Each one writes a line in the great poem of adaptation. They remind us that extremes are not barriers, but invitations, places where creativity thrives. And while these creatures battle temperature and time, others compete in a very different arena, not of endurance or environment, but of thought. For some records are written not in strength or speed, but in the mind itself. In the next chapter, we will meet the record-breaking thinkers of the natural world, the builders, communicators, and problem solvers whose intelligence reshapes what it means to be alive. Prepare to enter the realm of the extraordinary minds. Intelligence in nature wears many faces. It hums in the song of a bird, glows in the eyes of an octopus, and whispers in the silent cooperation of a hive. It is not limited by size or shape. It flows wherever curiosity and survival meet. Among all record-breaking animals, the most astonishing minds are often found where we least expect them. Consider the crow. Black feathers, sharp eyes, and a brain barely the size of a walnut. Yet inside that small space lives an intelligence rivaling that of young humans. Crows use tools, bend wires into hooks, and even drop nuts on roads so that passing cars will crack them open. They remember faces, recognize patterns, and can plan several steps ahead. In laboratory tests, some crows solve puzzles that would challenge a 5-year-old child. They do not guess, they think. And in their dark eyes, there is always a flicker of awareness, as if they know they are being studied and choose to play along. In the oceans, dolphins hold another kind of record. They name each other with unique whistles, passing those sounds through generations like family names. They coordinate hunts with military precision, trapping schools of fish with bubbles or taking turns to chase and feed. When they rest, only half of their brain sleeps. The other half stays awake, watching for danger and guiding the pod. Some have even been seen using coral or sea sponges as tools to protect their snouts while foraging on the seafloor. They live in societies rich with play, cooperation, and emotion. Scientists who study them often describe their behavior as joyful, a kind of curiosity that blurs the line between instinct and imagination. On land, elephants show intelligence of a deeper kind, the intelligence of memory, empathy, and grief. They recognize themselves in mirrors, understand gestures, and mourn their dead with rituals that resemble our own. When an elephant finds the bones of another, even if it is not a relative, it will often stop and touch them gently with its trunk, as if remembering something lost. Within their families, older matriarchs hold the map of survival, remembering where to find water during drought, when to migrate, and how to guide the herd through danger. Knowledge itself becomes an inheritance passed through generations not by words, but by footsteps. Among the waves, another mind watches us from the deep, the octopus. Its brain is unlike any other on Earth. 2/3 of its neurons live not in its head, but in its arms. Each arm can taste, touch, and even make decisions on its own. An octopus can open jars, solve mazes, and escape from aquariums with stealth and purpose. It can change color and texture in an instant, becoming coral, rock, or sand, blending perfectly with its world. Some researchers believe it dreams, its skin flickering through colors as it sleeps, perhaps reliving the events of its waking hours. Its mind seems both alien and familiar, a reminder that intelligence does not belong to one shape of life. Among the most astonishing thinkers in nature are not mammals or birds, but insects, small minds with immense complexity. The honeybee, for example, can understand abstract concepts like same and different. It communicates direction, distance, and quality of nectar through a dance, a figure-8 motion called the waggle dance. By measuring the angle of the dance to the sun, other bees know exactly where to fly. A single bee's life is brief, but together, the hive becomes a living mind, capable of decisions and memories that last generations. Ants, too, display collective intelligence that rivals computation. They form highways, bridges, and rafts, all without a leader. Each ant follows simple rules, but together they build structures so efficient that engineers study them for design inspiration. This shared intelligence, called swarm behavior, is the same principle that guides flocks of birds and schools of fish. Every movement of one individual influences the next, until chaos becomes order. And in the dark forests of New Caledonia, a certain crow takes tool use even further. It crafts hooks from twigs, shaping them to perfection before hunting grubs hidden deep within bark. Each crow learns by watching others, improving the design over time, a cultural transmission once thought unique to humans. Even their children experiment, making mistakes, refining their tools until they work just right. In this way, knowledge becomes a song, passed down not by speech, but by action. In the sea, whales carry memories across generations, guiding their pods along migration routes that span entire oceans. Each group has its own dialect, its own songs, learned not inherited. When two whale cultures meet, they sometimes exchange melodies, blending them into something new. It is as if the ocean itself holds an orchestra of voices, all evolving and responding to each other over decades. Parrots, too, display astonishing mental gifts. They can imitate human speech not as echoes, but with understanding, using words to identify colors, objects, and even emotions. One African gray parrot named Alex learned to recognize over 100 words and understood the idea of zero, a concept that took humans thousands of years to define. When asked what color he wanted his food bowl to be, he sometimes said none, simply because he was tired. And in his final words before death, he told his researcher, "You be good, I love you." In that small voice was the vast bridge between species, the whisper of shared understanding. Through every feather, fin, and paw, intelligence shines not as dominance, but awareness, the ability to see, to learn, and to connect. It is not just a human gift. It is the mind of life itself, reflecting on the world it has created. As we leave these thinkers and dreamers of the wild, let us travel next to those who build, the architects and engineers whose designs rival the greatest human creations. For in their nests, hives, and homes, we find not only survival, but art. Let us enter the world of builders, architects, and artists, where every structure tells a story of purpose and beauty. All around the world, from the depths of forests to the edges of deserts, animals build. They construct homes, traps, and masterpieces of design, not from blueprints, but from instinct refined by time. Each creation, no matter how small, is a record of evolution's imagination. Consider the beaver, often called nature's engineer. With nothing more than teeth and patience, it fells trees, drags branches, and builds dams strong enough to alter entire landscapes. When a family of beavers settles near a stream, the flow of water itself begins to change. Ponds form, plants grow, and countless other species benefit from the wetlands created. Beavers do not just build for themselves, they build habitats for the world around them. Their dams, some visible from space, have lasted for decades, proof that architecture and ecology can be one and the same. In the jungles of Asia, another builder rises from the soil, the termite. Its mound towers can reach over 8 meters high, built entirely from earth, saliva, and patience. Inside, temperature and humidity remain constant no matter the weather outside. Tiny tunnels and air shafts weave through the structure, forming a natural ventilation system more efficient than many human designs. Each termite follows simple rules, yet together, millions of them create a fortress of order, a living city built without architects, but full of purpose. And then there are the weaver birds. From blades of grass and twigs, they craft hanging nests that sway like lanterns from the trees. Each nest is woven by a single bird, using its beak as both needle and hand. It loops and ties each strand with precision, creating chambers for eggs that remain safe through wind and rain. Some colonies stretch across entire trees, each branch holding dozens of nests, a neighborhood of sound and motion. Even underwater, builders thrive. Pufferfish, small and shy, become artists of the sand. Male pufferfish carve perfect circular patterns on the seafloor, mandalas of rippling lines and ridges several meters wide. They build them to attract mates, decorating the edges with shells and coral fragments. When currents destroy their creations, they begin again, patient as sculptors of the tide. These geometric displays are among the most complex courtship structures in the animal kingdom, art born from instinct, erased, and rebuilt by the sea. Bees, too, are builders of perfection. Inside their hives, the honeycomb repeats the same pattern again and again, the hexagon. It is the most efficient shape in nature, using the least material to store the greatest amount of honey. Each cell fits perfectly with its neighbor, a seamless design that engineers and mathematicians still study with awe. And when light passes through the golden wax, the hive glows like a cathedral made of sun. In the forests of Central and South America, the leafcutter ants practice an even greater architecture, one that exists beneath the ground, hidden from sunlight. Their colonies can reach the size of small houses, with chambers for farming fungus, nurseries for young, and tunnels that stretch for hundreds of meters. Each tunnel has a specific angle to allow air to flow and remove waste gases. Their design is so advanced that human engineers have mapped them as if they were cities. And yet, these cities were built grain by millions of workers who will never see the whole of what they create. They build not for glory, but for function, their unity as elegant as any cathedral. Other creatures build homes of silk and light. Spiders, patient and precise, spin webs that are both trap and masterpiece. Each thread is thinner than a human hair, yet stronger than steel of the same weight. When dew gathers on a web at dawn, it glitters like a net of stars, a fragile galaxy stretched between branches. Some spiders adjust their webs daily to match wind and light, fine-tuning the design for invisible perfection. And in caves or under leaves, certain species weave three-dimensional webs that shimmer like floating clouds of silver. Among birds, one artist stands apart: the bowerbird. The male builds an elaborate stage called a bower, decorating it with twigs, berries, flowers, and even shiny objects he finds: shells, feathers, bits of glass. He arranges them carefully by color, creating gradients of blue or yellow to please the eye of a mate. He may spend weeks perfecting his display, adjusting every detail until the moment is right. When a female arrives, he performs a dance within his art, a living expression of beauty and purpose intertwined. Even underwater, construction continues. Coral polyps, no larger than a grain of rice, build entire reefs that span thousands of miles. Each tiny creature secretes limestone, joining its skeleton to its neighbors until the structure rises toward the light. Over millennia, these small architects create vast undersea mountains, homes for countless fish, crabs, and shells. In this way, reefs are both city and organism, monument and nursery. And then there are the termites of Africa's savannas, whose mounds act as living lungs for the earth. Their tunnels regulate heat, moisture, and oxygen, allowing the colony to thrive even under the glazing sun. Some mounds remain occupied for more than 100 years, repaired by each new generation, standing as quiet monuments to collective endurance. In all of these builders, we find the same truth: that beauty and function are never separate. Each thread, twig, and grain of sand serves a purpose, yet forms something greater than itself. When nature builds, it creates harmony between design and need, structure and soul. From nests to reefs, from dams to webs, these creations are not just shelters, they are reflections of life's deep intelligence. And just as the builders shape their homes, others shape sound and light themselves. In the next chapter, we will meet the loudest, the brightest, and the most invisible beings on Earth. Creatures that turn their bodies into instruments of light, voice, and disappearance. The artists of sound and silence. In every corner of the planet, from the deep ocean to the jungle canopy, life communicates through light, color, and sound. Some voices can be heard from miles, while others shine in darkness where no sound can travel. These are the record holders of visibility and silence, the brightest, the loudest, and the best at vanishing. Let us begin in the rainforests, where the howler monkey fills the dawn with thunder. Its roar can carry for more than 3 miles through the trees, echoing like a storm between the branches. The sound is not anger, but identity, a way to claim space, to call to family, and to remind the forest that it is alive. Deep in the jungle, the call of one male can be answered by another, weaving a chorus that defines the landscape itself. Each sound is shaped by a massive hollow bone in the throat, a natural amplifier built by evolution's careful hand. Underwater, another record is held by the blue whale, the loudest voice in the living world. Its call, a low, rolling note, can travel hundreds of miles through the sea, perhaps farther than any sound made by life. Though it is a giant, the whale's song is not forceful, but gentle, a sound that rolls through the dark like a heartbeat shared with the ocean. Whales sing to find each other, to navigate, to speak across the emptiness of deep water. Their voices form one of Earth's oldest symphonies, the slow, rhythmic music of distance and belonging. On land, another small creature holds the title for the loudest sound for its size, the tiny water boatman. This insect creates noise not with lungs or vocal cords, but by rubbing its body against its shell. The sound can reach over 100 decibels, as loud as a passing train, yet the insect itself could sit on your fingertip. Its song vibrates through water, a heartbeat of ripples hidden from sight. In the deserts of Australia, the cicadas rise from the ground after years of waiting, their wings trembling with life. When millions of them sing together, the air itself seems to shimmer, the temperature of sound rising until it becomes part of the landscape. Their chorus can reach 120 decibels, nearly the threshold of pain for human ears. But to them, it is joy, the pure sound of existence after years spent beneath the soil. Where sound fades, light takes over. At night, deep in tropical forests, the air fills with floating sparks, fireflies, tiny record holders of illumination. They create light within their bodies through a chemical reaction that produces no heat, a perfect form of bioluminescence. Each species flashes in its own rhythm, a secret code of courtship written in light. Some flicker gently, others create bright pulses that ripple through the darkness like heartbeats. When thousands glow together, the forest floor becomes a moving galaxy, breathing in patterns of gold and green. In the deep sea, this glow becomes a language. Creatures that have never seen the sun create light of their own, blues, purples, and ghostly whites drifting through the black. Some use light to lure prey, others to escape danger, and some, like the lanternfish, to signal to one another in the endless dark. It is estimated that more than 90% of creatures living below 200 meters can produce their own light. In the ocean, to glow is to speak. But not every record in nature is about being seen or heard. Some of the most remarkable belong to those who vanish completely. Camouflage, the art of invisibility, is one of evolution's most astonishing creations. It is not merely hiding, it is becoming the world itself. Among the masters of disguise stands the cuttlefish, a soft-bodied relative of the squid and octopus. It can change its color, texture, and even the reflection of its skin in less than a second. With a wave of pigment cells, it transforms from sand to coral to shadow, a living mirror of its surroundings. These same pigments can create patterns that flash and ripple across its body, allowing it to communicate silently with others. It is both artist and magician of the sea. On land, the leaf insect achieves invisibility through stillness. Its body is shaped like a leaf, complete with veins, edges, and even tiny patches that resemble decay. When the wind blows, it rocks gently, matching the motion of nearby leaves so perfectly that even trained eyes can miss it. In the forests of Borneo, some stick insects grow longer than a human arm, yet vanish in plain sight. Branches pretending to be branches, a symphony of illusion written in silence. Among reptiles, the chameleon holds its own legend of transformation. Contrary to myth, it does not change color to match every surface, but to express emotion, regulate temperature, and communicate. Still, its shifting palette, greens, golds, and violets, remains one of the most beautiful expressions of life's adaptability. Each hue blooms from cells stacked like glass tiles beneath the skin, bending light in ways that painters can only dream of. Even among birds, invisibility takes many forms. The nightjar, for example, sleeps on the forest floor, its feathers patterned exactly like bark and leaves. Until it moves, it might as well be part of the earth itself. And in the Arctic, the snowy owl wears the perfect disguise of winter, feathers white as clouds blending seamlessly with the horizon. When it takes flight, it is as if the snow has learned to soar. Invisibility can also come from the way light bends through the body. Glass frogs of Central America have transparent skin. You can see their hearts beating beneath their ribs. For them, invisibility is not about hiding from sight, but about blending with light, their green bodies merging with the leaves above and the reflections below. In the open ocean, transparency becomes the rule rather than the exception. Jellyfish, salps, and tiny plankton drift unseen, their clear bodies catching and scattering light like liquid ghosts. They move without sound, without color, almost without boundary. To watch them float is to glimpse the quietest form of perfection, existence without edges. And so, from the brightest to the most invisible, from thunderous calls to utter silence, life continues its endless conversation. Each sound and color carries meaning, not for us, but for the world itself. And as we listen to that language of motion and light, we discover that even in noise, there is peace. Next, we follow the wanderers, creatures whose records are written not in place, but in distance. They cross oceans, continents, and seasons, tracing invisible paths around the globe. The travelers beyond imagination. Across Earth, countless creatures are born to move, not just to roam, but to travel impossible distances with quiet certainty. Migration is nature's greatest voyage, an ancient rhythm, older than mountains, older than memory. Each journey is guided by instinct, by stars, by magnetic whispers we cannot hear. And among all travelers, few can match the records of those who cross the very edges of the world. The Arctic tern holds one of the most extraordinary records in all of nature. Each year, this small bird, lighter than an apple, travels from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back again. It flies more than 40,000 miles, chasing the summer across both poles, living in almost endless daylight. Over its lifetime, it may travel the distance from Earth to the Moon and back, and still it continues, guided by an invisible compass of instinct. In the sea, the leatherback turtle undertakes a similar odyssey. Born on a moonlit beach, the hatchling crawls toward the ocean and disappears for decades into the deep blue. When it returns, it comes back to the very same shore where it first took breath, guided by the faint magnetic memory of its birthplace. These turtles can cross entire oceans, diving deeper than 1,000 meters, their flippers wide as oars, their movements unhurried but unstoppable. They are travelers of time as much as distance. On land, the monarch butterfly carries its own fragile record. Each year, millions of monarchs migrate from Canada and the northern United States all the way to central Mexico. What makes this journey miraculous is that no single butterfly completes it. It takes 4 or 5 generations, each living only a few weeks, for the cycle to be completed. And yet, every new generation knows the way, following a path never traveled before, guided by an inheritance written not in memory, but in the code of life itself. When they reach the forests of Michoacán, they fill the trees like living leaves, thousands upon thousands hanging in orange clusters, resting for a season before the great return begins again. In the African savanna, the wildebeest follows the rains in an endless circuit of renewal. Each year, more than 1 million of them move across the plains in search of fresh grass, joined by zebras, gazelles, and birds in one of the most dramatic migrations on land. From the air, the herd appears like a living river, flowing, turning, dividing, and rejoining, the pulse of life itself moving across the earth. Predators follow too, lions, crocodiles, hyenas, turning the migration into a symphony of motion and survival. In the oceans, whales follow their own invisible highways, traveling from feeding grounds in polar waters to warm tropical bays where their calves are born. The gray whale journeys more than 12,000 miles each year, the longest migration of any mammal. It moves through waters once filled with danger, now rediscovered as sanctuaries of song. Each year, their return marks a promise kept that the path of life endures through generations. And high above, beyond the clouds, the bar-tailed godwit sets another record. This small bird makes the longest non-stop flight of any known animal, more than 7,000 miles without rest, without food or water, crossing the vast Pacific from Alaska to New Zealand. For over a week, it beats its wings without pause, guided by the stars, by the wind, and by something we cannot name. When it finally lands, it rests among flowers and grass, a traveler returned from the edge of endurance. There are travelers that move not through the sky or sea, but through the hidden corridors of the earth. Salmon begin their lives in cold mountain streams, then journey thousands of miles to the open ocean, growing strong in the vast saltwater expanse. Years later, they return home, not by sight, but by scent, following the memory of a single drop of water among millions. They leap against waterfalls, climb rivers that fight them with every current, their bodies silver and shining as they rise toward the place of their birth. When they reach it, they lay their eggs and die, completing a perfect circle that has turned for millions of years. And so, the next generation begins again, a pulse of life that moves with unbroken grace. Even smaller wanderers hold records of distance. Some dragonflies migrate across oceans, carried by wind and instinct. One species, the globe skimmer, travels from India to East Africa and back, a round trip of more than 10,000 miles, the longest insect migration known. It rides the monsoon winds, crossing storms and sunlight, following rains it has never seen before. Its wings, thin as glass, carry it farther than most creatures will ever go. In the Arctic, the caribou move in vast herds across the tundra, a migration of endurance and memory. They follow the same paths carved by ancestors long gone, guided by the stars and the scent of lichen beneath the snow. Some travel more than 3,000 miles each year, their hooves clicking softly like beads of wind on stone. For them, the journey never ends. It is life itself. And beyond Earth, perhaps migration may someday take on new meaning. As humanity learns to travel the stars, guided by the same instincts that drive birds across oceans and whales through the deep. We too are creatures of motion, our hearts pulled toward the unknown. Each of these travelers teaches us something about home. For the tern, home is the light that never ends. For the whale, it is the echo of song beneath the waves. For the butterfly, it is a place it has never seen, yet somehow remembers. And for us, perhaps, home is not a place, but a pattern, the rhythm of return, the memory of belonging. As our journey through record-breaking life nears its end, let us return, as all travelers do, to stillness. In the final chapter, we will meet the harmony behind every record, the balance that connects the fastest and the slowest, the brightest and the smallest, the oldest and the newest. For beyond the records lies something greater, the unity of life itself. The epilogue awaits. The night is quiet now. The records have been told, the journeys have been made, and the world rests beneath the slow turning of the stars. In the silence, we begin to see the pattern behind it all, the harmony of extremes. Every fastest, smallest, strongest, or oldest creature is not a separate wonder, but a part of one vast breathing tapestry. The falcon and the tortoise, the whale and the ant, the coral and the tree, each exists because the others do. Life, at its core, is balance. Speed must meet stillness, strength must yield to gentleness, and the vast must make room for the tiny. The world stays whole because every living thing, no matter how different, plays its note in the grand song of being. Imagine for a moment that song. It begins with the hum of bees, the rustle of leaves, the breath of whales, and the low heartbeat of the earth itself. It rises through storms and quiets through forests, carried by wind and wave, by claw and feather and fin. We cannot hear it all at once, but every time we listen to life in any form, we hear a piece of it. Some records, like the speed of a falcon or the endurance of a shark, remind us of what it means to move with purpose. Others, like the stillness of a tree or the patience of a coral reef, teach us how to stay and simply be. And between them lies everything else, every breath, every cell, every fragile balance that keeps the planet alive. All that we have learned tonight about the deep, the vast, the bright, and the unseen leads to this one truth. Life is not a competition of records. It is a collaboration of wonders. Each record exists because countless others did not try to break it, but to support it. The predator and the prey, the builder and the destroyer, the birth and the decay. Together, they form the eternal cycle that keeps the earth breathing softly through the ages. And we too are part of that cycle. Our records of art, thought, and discovery grow from the same curiosity that drives the dolphin to sing or the crow to shape a tool. When we learn from nature, we do not rise above it, we return to it. Every discovery we make is a mirror reflecting the intelligence of the world that made us. We are, after all, animals too, travelers, thinkers, and builders within the same great story. And perhaps the greatest record of all is not how far we have come, but how deeply we are connected. So now, as the last echoes of this journey fade, let us rest in the knowledge that wonder is everywhere. It hums beneath the soil, glides through the clouds, and glows beneath the sea. Every creature, the swift and the still, the immense and the invisible, carries within it a small piece of the same miracle, the will to live. Think of the records not as trophies, but as stories, ways the universe reminds itself of what is possible. The falcon's dive, the jellyfish's light, the tortoise's slow century, all are verses in a poem written in heartbeats instead of words. And that poem never ends. Even now, new records are being set quietly in forests, oceans, and deserts we have not yet seen. Somewhere, a creature breathes for the first time. Somewhere else, another falls still. Both moments woven into the same rhythm. That rhythm is life itself, moving forward, without hurry, without pause, just as it always has. And as you drift toward sleep, you can carry that rhythm with you, a soft pulse of connection to everything that has ever lived or dreamed beneath these stars. Let your thoughts slow like the tide at dusk. Let the images of all the record breakers fade gently. The falcon in the sky, the whale in the deep, the ant beneath the grass, the glowing jelly in the dark. They are still out there, moving, breathing, being, perfect in their places. The planet turns beneath them, beneath us all, carrying its library of miracles through space. And somewhere inside that quiet rotation is you, another part of the story, another small miracle in motion. Rest now, traveler of worlds unseen. The records will wait. The earth hums softly, and life continues its song. Good night.